If you've ever been ghosted by an avoidant, this video will help you understand what really happened. I'm going to explain the psychology behind why avoidants disappear even when they care, so you can finally make sense of their behaviour and move forwards with more peace. Hi, I'm Jess. I've helped over 5,000 people find love, and I run a one-to-one coaching program that takes you from anxious to secure so you can feel confident and trust your gut. If you're ready for that transformation, sign up via the link in the description box. So being ghosted is one of the most painful things that people experience in modern dating, because it can leave you feeling like you didn't even matter enough to deserve an explanation. It can also leave you confused and questioning yourself. But there's almost always more that's happening beneath the surface, especially if you've been on multiple dates and it seemed like things were going well. So with avoidance, disappearing isn't usually about a lack of feelings. It's usually about not knowing how to handle those feelings or not knowing how to have a conversation about things. It's very possible, and it's actually quite likely, that if you were ghosted by an avoidant, that happened because they did have feelings for you. And it can seem counterintuitive. Why would someone disappear when they actually care? It's because closeness and intimacy activates their attachment wounds, and the connection can start to feel like a threat. Avoidants mostly don't ghost because they don't care, but because disappearing feels safer and easier than staying and feeling vulnerable and risking confrontation. When they start to develop real feelings, their nervous system goes into overdrive. What feels warm and connecting to you maybe can feel suffocating or unpredictable to them. It activates deep, often unconscious fears that they'll lose their independence, say, or they'll get rejected or get hurt again. So instead of leaning in, they instinctively pull back. It's not calculated, it's a protection mechanism. Their brain tells them that the safest option is to retreat, even if a part of them genuinely wants to stay, and even if they do really like you. And if you're an anxious overthinker who second guesses every decision, this next part is for you. What if you could feel confident and secure no matter what someone else says or does? Break free from anxious spirals so you're calm and collected every day. Trust yourself so you can make decisions from true clarity. Shift from overthinking to real focus so you can direct your time and energy towards achieving your goals. What if you could know your values so you're naturally respected by people around you? What if you could stop sabotaging love so you can build a healthy, connected relationship? That's what's possible when you heal your anxious attachment. And that's exactly what my 8-week one-to-one coaching program guides you through. I use a 3-step framework called the Self-Trust Blueprint, which rewires your anxious attachment patterns at the root and gives you the tools to stay secure for life. I've helped over 5,000 people find love. My work has been featured in Forbes, Cosmopolitan, Men's Health, the New York Times, and many more. There are limited spots available because I work with a small number of clients at a time. If you're ready to go from spiraling to secure, apply via the link in the description box. And yes, there's a difference between the two avoidants here. Dismissive avoidants generally don't feel the inner conflict, at least at first. They usually numb and detach. They don't feel all these intense negative emotions and then panic. Instead, it shows up as needing space, losing interest, suddenly feeling off about the connection, or low-level discomfort. Fearful avoidants, on the other hand, they do feel that inner push-pull. They feel the pull towards the connection and the fear of getting hurt. That emotional intensity can become very overwhelming, and they usually either shut down completely or distance themselves to try to regain control. So yes, it's a different experience for the two types of avoidant, but there are similarities as well, and both types do ghost people. Generally, when avoidants ghost, it's in one of these two scenarios. The first scenario is when you start to get closer. Things are going well, expectations are growing, and you feel more connected. For a lot of people, that feels exciting. But for avoidants, it can feel like pressure and like a loss of control. But because they often don't understand what's happening internally, unless they know about attachment styles, say, they often misinterpret that discomfort as them losing interest, or they think that it just must not be right. So instead of recognizing it as fear of vulnerability, they convince themselves that it's just not the right match. But they usually don't want to end things in a direct way because that would require vulnerability. And also, they might not know how to explain it, so they ghost. The second scenario is when they've lost interest or feel unsure about the connection, but they want to avoid potentially a difficult conversation or conflict. Instead of having a direct talk about things, they disappear to avoid dealing with emotions, both yours and theirs. For avoidance, ghosting can feel like the easiest way to regain control and reduce the negative feelings, even though it leaves the other person hurt and confused most of the time. They equate conflict or vulnerability with danger, so avoidance becomes self-protection, even if it comes at the cost of the connection or someone else's feelings. And to be clear, they're usually not thinking in the moment, I'm sacrificing this person's feelings for my own comfort. Their brain floods with negative emotions, and stepping back feels like relief. It's not about consciously choosing self-preservation over empathy. It's more like their system automatically prioritizes perceived safety over closeness. And yes, usually ghosting isn't planned for an avoidant. They might think to themselves, oh, I'll message soon, but then the discomfort grows and they keep putting it off, and a lot of time has passed and the ghosting has already happened. Or they might just attach so much that they genuinely stop thinking about it altogether. It's like their brain files away the connection to avoid anything to do with it. And there can be other reasons why avoidants ghost. Maybe they feel physically unsafe, or maybe someone crossed their boundaries, or they might be worried that they'll disappoint you in the future. But the two scenarios I talked about in detail are the most common. And if you've been ghosted by an avoidant, it's not because you're not worth an explanation. It's not because you don't matter. It's about their coping mechanism, not your worth. And if you're ready to heal your attachment patterns and build the kind of security that doesn't depend on someone else's behavior, that's exactly what my one-to-one coaching program helps you do. You can get the details by clicking the link in the description box. Thanks for watching.